Recording in progress.
What up, folks? Welcome. I'm your bro, I don't know how I messed that up, bro.
Hey, man.
Talking too much
You're
before the
Trey.
show. Yes,
You
I
Trey,
am.
man.
I am. I'm Trey Frazier, and my brother Maestro Styles is here with me
Yes,
today,
sir.
folks. Welcome to another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. You could catch us live on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Make sure y'all continue to follow us on those platforms. You can also follow us on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. How was your week, sir?
Man, good, man. It was good to see some football. Even though I've been working and busting my ass all weekend, I did get to see just a little bit of football. How you?
Week was good, man. Kind of like you, I had a chance to watch some of the games, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of what we saw a little later. But yeah, man, got into some football. There's some NBA chatter going on. We'll talk about that too. But man, I tell you what, I'm getting ready for my kids' soccer season. Their teams start, I think, in 3 weeks, I think. And I just ordered the uniforms. We've been out to the soccer fields, just kind of doing practicing and things like that, just kind of showing them, basics and stuff. And this is going to be Nate's first time doing it. And, Nate is different. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's going to be real interesting to see how he reacts to coaches and his teammates and stuff like that. This will be Natalie's third go around playing soccer for the season, so she's already used to some of the drills and stuff like that. So yeah, we've been doing that this past week. Yesterday was mad nice though. I don't know if you was outside lately, but yesterday was like, man, if it could stay like this the rest of the summer, man, I'd be good to go, man. I'm already done with the
It
heat.
seemed like that's the case. It seemed like it's gonna be like that. Like I feel like that the hot days of summer are over. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, like them extreme, like
Yeah.
fry
90s.
bacon on a sidewalk hot. Like that's gonna
Yeah, I
be
think
over.
that's done. I think that's done. I think we getting ready for fall now.
Yeah. I hope you're right, man. Cause
Can I plug? Why you can I? You talking about soccer and everything? And I thought about my nephew.
Yep.
If y'all don't know, my nephew is a fucking soccer phenomenon. Like is in real life. Follow Dimitri Clark 10 on Instagram, and that's all. And all I can tell you is that my nephew is a fucking soccer phenomenon. Like I look at this dude in amazement watching him on Instagram and playing games. Because he's already playing. I don't know. I don't know how it works from Natalie being her age and Dimitri being his age, but
How old is Dimitri? If I missed that, how old is he?
Dimitri, yeah, I'm a terrible uncle.
Oh damn, nigga.
I want to say he's 11. I
Okay.
want to say he's 11.
Okay.
But I'm a bad uncle, and I accept that role. And one day I will do better.
The drunk uncle.
Not as much nowadays. The high uncle. But he is a phenomenon. So if y'all get a chance, check out Dimitri Clark 10 on Instagram and see what I'm talking about. Get my nephew follow account up, cause by the time he's in college with all this NIL stuff, like he should be making my sister and her husband rich. Like that's how nice I think he is. I mean, that's how nice. Just looking at it, that's how nice I think he is.
Get him up out the hood. I like
He
that.
ain't in the hood, but
Get him into something nicer. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Yeah. No doubt. So we got a good show today. We got a special guest coming on in a few minutes. He goes by the name of Angry Black Man. That's what we know him. Around these. I guess you could call it X Squad slash. Militant Monday Circle, whatever you want to call it. But he's got a podcast of his own called Posting in the Paint, which you could check out every Monday evening, I believe it is. So he's gonna come on with us. Chicago native, lives in the ATL. I think he roots for the Heat, which I don't understand why he roots for the Miami Heat, but we'll talk to him about that. And some other stuff that's been going on in sports and all that good stuff. So looking forward to having him on in a few minutes.
For sure.
But I guess since we're talking youth sports and everything, I want to touch in on this subject. And first off, rest in peace. Rest in peace to the coach of the Little League football team in Texas that went down to gun violence. A lot of people are pointing at Aqib Talib's brother as the suspect. And I think the update now is that the police have identified Aqib Talib's brother as the suspect in the shooting, but they're still further investigating the situation. I don't know about you, man, but when I first heard the story, it kind of made me think about when I go to Natalie soccer games and everybody's got their kids playing, everybody's rooting for their child, everybody's rooting for other, kids, even though they're not their own kids, but everybody's rooting for everybody. And, not to say that it's a culture thing, but I am aware that sometimes adults get rowdy at these little league games, whether it's soccer, football, whatever sport your child plays. And I just gotta say, man, it don't gotta end this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't.
It's never that serious.
Yeah, it don't gotta end this way. Like I really felt I felt so bad for this guy and his family that he had to lose his life because
He loved the coach for kids.
yeah, like some of these parents put their kids in these little league programs just to keep them away from the very same thing that got this coach's life lost. You know what I mean? And it's just terrible that this happened the way it did. Your thoughts?
For me, man. Look, when my baby mama's kids were younger, my ex-wife kids were younger. They all played little league football, all of them, every single one of them. And to a point where I was, obviously Saturday period is allocated for football games from September to from September, really August, to about October, November. And with that is you see a lot, like parents who want their kids to play more, or parents who don't like how your coaches talk to the kid. Like it's so much interaction between a parent and a coach because they kids.
Yeah.
That's their kids. So it's never. I've seen arguments. I've seen almost fights. I've even heard stories amongst other teams of fights. I've never heard of a life being taken behind some disagreement about little league football. It's a terrible thing that happened to that coach. I won't say that I ever was scared for my life, but I would say that when I was asked to coach little league team, I didn't because of that reason. I don't want to deal with Slim. I'm doing my job over here, and whether you like how I'm doing my job or not, I'm doing my job right here. So I don't need you as a parent coming to me about what I'm doing on my little league football team. I don't want to hear it. You can get out of my face with it. So it sucks that the dude, he loves coaching football. Obviously, is what he do, and he got to lose his life behind a fucking argument. That's crazy.
Yeah. Coach Mike Hickman was a gentleman's name in Texas. Mike Hickman.
Rest in
is
peace.
his name. So rest in peace to his homie, and shout out to the family and everything. But we got our special guest right here in the building. Like I said, one of our colleagues in the podcast game. He's got his own podcast, Posting in the Paint. We got Doc Bell, aka Angry Black Man, in the building. Hey, first off, man, we appreciate you coming on here, but
Yes, sir.
for content purposes, we got to see your face a little bit more, man. You got like a light or something that we could see a little bit, man. You live on these platforms, so.
I don't know, Trey. I kind of like him with the anonymous because he angry, man. So if he ain't say something incriminating, I kind of like the energy of him sitting there like with the dark face, man, because he might say some wild shit on here.
Yeah, it's my new crib, man. I don't have lighting in this office yet because I usually just in here for work. So
Right. Well, congrats on the new crib.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem,
How you been, man?
Man, I've been pretty good, man. Can't complain.
I see you got the Michael Jordan already loaded up, so you ready to go.
Yeah, I got the MJ, I got my Pac, I got a few others to put up, but slowly getting it in, man. Slowly getting stuff put together.
Yep. I know that feeling, man. I just put this stuff up last week, man. I done moved in this house almost a year now, and we still trying to, get stuff,
Yep.
put in place. So I know the feeling, man.
Yep, still getting stuff. I got my kitchen table in Monday. They came about 8:15. They gave you that 4-hour window, and they was here 15 minutes after 8. So that was good. So just getting settled in. So it's all good, man. Glad to be in.
Yeah.
Settled in the ATL now.
No doubt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, let me start here, and you heard some of our conversation as you was coming in about Coach Mike Hickman losing his life as a Little League head coach because of speculation about Aqib Talib's brother being a suspect in the shooting. We were just kind of sharing our experiences as dads taking our kids, to their prospective sports. My daughter plays soccer, and this will be her third season playing it. This will be my son's first year playing soccer, and Maestro, has daughters that play basketball. Have you, in any experience, coached your sons up in any sport while they were coming up?
Yeah, I coached my son. They didn't coach in football. I coached him in AAU basketball. Backstory is Kevin Knox, who played with your Knicks a few years. His dad and myself coached his middle brother, Kobe Knox, who's out at Northern Arizona with Dan Marley. And then keep in mind, his youngest brother, Carter Knox, is one of the top 10 players in the country this year. So he'll probably be going to Kentucky like his brother did. But I coached with him. And one of the things Coach Knox said when we were coaching our 5th grade team, told the parents at the beginning of the season, we'll get your kids better. You'll be able to see a noticeable improvement in their skill set.
Yeah.
But understand, Coach K ain't coming to see you. Coach K ain't going to be in the gym to see your kids. We didn't have a 6'8", 5th grader. Roy Williams ain't going to be in the gym, Bill Self. So he set that expectation. Fortunately, in my time coaching, even back in Chicago before I moved to Florida in 2000, I never saw it get to that point. I saw coaches argue, but never the stuff we see now with parents, where we see youth players like at the older level swinging on officials. Crazy times, man. Like I said, it's a combination of, talked about it yesterday on my show, combination of guys that are coaching, and shout out to all the coaches that give their time, because a lot of time they give to coaching these kids and mentoring
For free.
Definitely for free. And then you get that emotion. You get guys that maybe never played before, so they're living their dream, or they got a good team, so they get caught up in that. The parents with the expectations of their kid, and then the kids have expectations of themselves, and then what they see on TV all the way up to the professional level. So you just can't have that, because we got one person shooting. What if everybody pulled out in this day and age? In Atlanta, it's, concealed carry. You don't even have to have a license. So you could have multiple people pull out guns and start shooting at their youth park.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just crazy. Yeah, I made the point earlier that we as dads put our kids in these situations on these little league teams just to get them away from the thing that happened to Coach Mike Hickman, which was gun violence.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
give them something to occupy their time, give them guidance, because we don't. And even as us being dads, there are also people that are going to impact our kids that may give them a different angle that our kids. Hopefully, they're comfortable coming to us with everything, but there's always going to be people that can mentor them and a part of their growth to adults and being productive members of society. But 334 Bama, his son plays down there in Tampa where I lived, and they have a place called the Skyway over by the airport. Nice, two nice fields, and you'll play at your main field, but that's like the premier place to play. And they had a shooting incident up there, and they canceled the playoffs and the Super Bowl for the kids because of that incident. You'll probably see the same thing in Lancaster. So now you may not have the opportunity, and we haven't even. You guys may have touched on it before I came on. How about the trauma to these kids that saw that? Not only the young man that saw his dad killed, but every other kid on both teams.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
Crazy times.
Yeah, parents got these type that we got to demand better for parents. Period. I mean, I don't know exactly what set Slim off. I don't know, why he felt that disrespected or that angry where he had to get to that point, and truly ain't my business. But this it's a game at the end of the day, and it was something to build up your child or these children at the end of the day, and that's what you took his life for, man, and that's there's no way to say it. It's a classless act, all the way around the board.
Yeah, and it was two different incidents. The initial video, and how I saw Trey's post saying people putting Aqib Talib's name in it because he's the quote unquote famous name as the former NFL player, and that's how I saw Trey's tweet. And then I went and saw Kendrick Perkins that posted, and I started following up on the story. But you saw the separate incident with the one coach going after the dark-skinned official. The one official stepped in like, let it go.
Yeah.
And then the other chaos broke to the left of the video. So you just can't have that because, again, after the sports, whatever level your kid gets to in the sport, whether youth is the furthest they go, the skills you learn, teamwork, all the stuff I've learned when I was an athlete through college, they carry over into the business world. You may not always like the people you work with, but you got an assignment to do. We got a check to get. We got a family to support. I got a mortgage to pay. So those kind of skill sets, even if you aren't consciously thinking of it, it carries over from what you learn in youth sports or however long you've played into this in particular sport.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Rest in peace again to that coach, man.
Yeah, rest in peace, Mike Hickman. Rest in peace.
And Yaqub Talib is 39. It's 2 lives lost. He'll be in prison the rest of his life if he's convicted of that crime.
Yeah.
So just chaos. Just chaos.
Yeah. Affects families too, not just the people, that lost their life or, the families to that person, but like you said, the kids on both sides, the parents on both sides, and, Aqib Talib and his family too. Nobody wins at the end of the day. Nobody wins in this situation. So, but we talking football here, so I guess we could stick to that subject. Me and Maestro earlier were, talking about watching some of the preseason games that happened last week. Wanted to get your take, ABM, on any game in particular you saw, any player you saw that you thought, okay, he, this is interesting. Like, what caught your eye?
Well, I watched Deshaun Watson and saw a lot of reports. It was funny, the headlines that he was rusty, and I'm like, he hasn't played in almost a year and a half any meaningful football. So it was to be expected, and that's not even to say the mental anguish and stress he may be under from this case still lingering. To think maybe he had 6 games and now it's still back in arbitration where he could be suspended for a year. So watching them play, and then my Chicago Bears and the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to see what the Bears, if they can keep Justin Fields upright. More importantly, to see what kind of play calling they do with him. Do they utilize his skills, put him in the best positions to utilize his skills at this point in his career? They got a young team. They basically moved the veteran defensive players. And then the other part of that is Soldier Field. You probably remember Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, how bad that turf was. Chicago Soldier Field is not maintained by the Bears. So the Players Association came out. If you looked at that field, it looked like it was late November, December in Chicago because they had an Elton John concert the week before, and that field was tore up. They shouldn't have played that game. But I'm sure in Baltimore, does the county control the grounds in Baltimore, or do
the stadium is owned by the state? It's called the Maryland Stadium Authority. So they own both the Ravens Stadium and the Orioles Stadium next door.
And so the Bears, Cook County maintains the grounds, and they don't have the capability to keep Soldier Field up. And we're talking, that game was what, August 13th?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got that kind of field. So for me, just watching the Bears to see how the young players step up. We got N'Keal Harry from New England, and he was big time at Arizona State, but he's had injuries, most notably his ankle. So just trying to watch the Bears to see what kind of year we're going to have, what kind of growth. I don't have a lot of expectations to contend with the Packers, but just see the growth since basically we're on a rebuild, and the key is just to get talent around Justin Fields.
Yep.
And, they drafted 4 linemen out of their 11 picks, so hopefully some of those guys can materialize so we have a great offensive line to go with Justin. At least keep them upright. That's going to be the most important thing.
So 2 things. Let me go back to what you said about the field conditions at Soldier Field. So is this part of the reason why the Bears are trying to move out in the suburbs to get the new stadium?
That's a big reason because they've had problems with the field. They had the Elton John concert 8 days ago. The Chicago Fire played there, the soccer team. They moved their game because the field was so bad. The Players Association came out. And then Chicago also lets a lot of the Catholic League teams have some of their premier games there.
Yep.
And like I said on my show, it does no good. It's great for the high school kids, but to have 800 to 1,000 people in Soldier Field to tear up the field for the NFL team. They have the same issue in Tampa because USF's University of South Florida plays there.
Yeah.
So you'll look at a Bucks game and you'll see that turf starting to tear up, but they do a much better job. And the other thing with the Bears, they don't have luxury boxes. Probably I was trying to remember, at least probably a decade or more now, they moved to University of Illinois for a couple years as they added what looks like a spaceship part on the Bear Stadium. Looks like a Roman Coliseum, like the old
on the outside of it, right?
Yeah. They added like a part that looks like a spaceship. It looks totally
on the inside of it. It looks like it's like weird. It's like a spaceship thing, kind of like what you said.
And then you have the rest of the Roman Coliseum look. So the Bears want to have the luxury boxes. They want to have all this stuff, the PSLs and the licensing, like they have in Mercedes-Benz here in the ATL. They want to have a Bears museum. They want to have shops and all that. You got the lakefront, so there's really no space down there to do it. Mayor Lightfoot is trying to come up with, connecting it with McCormick Place, which is like the big convention center, but it's too late. The Bears are going to go to Arlington. They can build what they want. They can control their stadium. They can use it for whatever they want. They basically leased Soldier Field from the city of Chicago. So,
as a black man from Chicago, how do you feel about that? Because me and Maestro, we've had conversations about the Redskins and them moving 30 miles outside of DC down in Virginia, and black people here in DC, they don't want that. So for you as a black man from the city of Chicago, how would that make you feel that you got public transportation access to get to these games and now you got to go to the suburbs to do that where you may not be able to get there?
Yeah, you're going to have to drive. Like where I grew up in Evanston, North Suburb, like my mom, if I cross over the street, I'm in Chicago from her house. So we're right on the borderline. But you got the regular L, we call it CTA, we call it the L. You got the Metro, which is a nice, cushy cars. You can eat, it's real nice. That's what people come in from the suburbs that work downtown. Now you're going to have to drive because it's going to make no sense to go from a north suburb to downtown to go out to a northwest suburb because there's no train line to go from a north suburb to a northwest. So it's going to create a lot of driving for Bears fans. It's going to resemble the same thing you have. Now, maybe they'll add a Metro line out there and take care of that. But you're going to have the same issue you have here in Atlanta. MARTA doesn't run to the Braves Stadium.
Yep.
Braves moved out of where Georgia State plays now in the building that Hank Aaron built, basically. And you can't go to a Braves game. Great stadium, Me and Chief went to a game last year, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't get on the martyr. So if you want to go out there, have a couple beers, kick back, you got to be careful because you're in Cobb County.
Yeah.
You're coming back.
Yeah.
They know you leaving from the
Stuck
game,
in
so
traffic.
you have all those issues. So the Braves, a lot of people here say the Braves intentionally moved because they wanted to get away from their black population by moving to Marietta.
I believe that.
And I know there's new stuff, so you get a luxury stadium and stuff like that. But it's going to be the same thing with the Bears. It's going to be in Arlington Heights, which is nowhere near Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and downtown Chicago. That's just going to be a graveyard. The Soldier Field. You'll have everything else on the lakefront,
Yeah.
but you'll have a stadium there that won't have anything that can bring people in there unless it's a big concert.
Hey, Maestro,
Right.
what was the thing that we talked about this last week? What was the thing that Justin Fields had said about his receiving core?
Oh, I was waiting. I was just waiting. I don't know if this is a credible Twitter source, so I asked you because I know you tapped in with your team. So last week, I read a tweet that read Justin Fields, and they quoted. Well, I don't got the exact quote, but I paraphrase. The biggest struggle that he has is that no receiver on the roster could play sixth string on my college team.
I saw that tweet. I still haven't confirmed if that's true. And I like Darnell Mooney. He's a speedster. But if you look at the Bears receiving core, they are young. I don't think he said that. Everything I've seen about Justin Fields, he seems and has been, even last year at difficult times, he's always said the right thing. Whether he was, whatever we're feeling as a player, and you think off camera, what you say in front of the media. So I'm still trying to confirm if he said that. I mean, I know the talent they've had from the Ohio State, but that's not a good thing to start with your receiving core as you're going into your second year, first full year as a starter. It's just, if you're Aaron Rodgers and say that, it's probably still not the right thing to say, but you got the cachet to be able to get away with it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree 100%. I hope he didn't say that.
I haven't been able I saw that too, and I haven't been able to confirm it. But everything I've seen with him, that doesn't seem like something he would say or do at this point.
And it's hard to root for him if he said it.
It just doesn't seem like anything he would say. Even when he was, he could have blasted his coach last year with some of the play calling and schemes they were putting out there. Reminded me of what they did to Lamar in that Chargers playoff game.
The playoff game,
the playoff game. The play calling, the offensive play calling that game, it was criminal. Didn't give the offense a chance to be successful whatsoever, even if you feel like you want to play conservative because of the defense and your kicker. So I felt like that at times with Justin Fields last year, but he never said anything like that. So I'm going to try to validate that, but I haven't been able to confirm that. Twitter and IG sometimes have posts or stories. They could say the Bulls, Michael Jordan never lost 3 games in a row, which is a lie, but they'll put up a meme like that, about whoever. So I'm just hoping he can stay upright and have some growth this year. You know what's funny about my Bears? We fired Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, coach and GM, when we hired Matt Earfulis from the Colts defensive coordinator and Ryan Poole. I'm like, we fire Matt and Ryan, and we hire Matt and Ryan in the same week. Only Chicago would do that.
Exactly. I saw that. I saw that.
Exactly. So I did overhear you say that you don't have a bunch of expectations, but break down exactly Chicago Bear projections for this season.
17 games. Now I always got to correct myself, not 16. If we could be 7 to 8 wins, that would be a successful season. And Justin Fields is still playing in week 15 through 17 or week 18 officially. That would be a success. I would like to see Cole Kmet finally produce as a tight end. Big tight end, has all the measurements. He's a guy walking around, look at him, see him in shorts. He does everything, blocks well, but just hasn't broke out as a receiver, even though he has all the measurables, the speed and stuff like that. Like to see Darnell Mooney take a step. And I would like to see N'Keal Harry be able to stay on the field so we see what he is as a receiver from what he was at. Where my worry is defense. I was saying yesterday that Khalil Mack is gone. Akeem Hicks is gone. We lost Fuller last year. He was a Pro Bowl corner. We let him go via free agency last year. So now when you look at the three levels, we still got Robert Quinn, who had an outstanding year last year. And I was saying, I love Robert Quinn, but if we could have traded him and got some more assets for him, whether draft picks or players that were younger that has some potential, might have been worth it because he deserves to go somewhere and be able to have a chance to play in the playoffs and maybe go as far as he can in the Super Bowl. So we have him at defensive end. Roquan Smith, now we got this contract thing he wants out.
Yep.
Then we have Eddie Jackson from Alabama, 334's boy, who played great until he got the big contract, and now Eddie wants no contact. If you're going for a pass trade, and Eddie has a beat on you just to break up the pass or just bump you a little bit, Eddie hasn't shown he's wanting any contact. So we got three experienced players at each level, but we're a young defense. We drafted a corner with our second round pick. He's solid, but he's not a speedster, about 5'11 and a half. Kyler Gordon from Washington. But, you know, we're in a rebuild. Now it's about David Montgomery and can any of these receivers step up? Can they step up and can we say they're part of the future? And is Justin Fields, are we going to get the parts for Justin Fields, the line, if we need to go get a receiver in the offseason? That kind of stuff, because 4 years apart, the Bears traded and got Khalil Mack. That's unbearable. Then we moved up. I hung up on my girlfriend. She called me and said, the rumors in Chicago, the Bears are going to move up to get Justin Fields. I didn't even say anything. I just hung up on her. I was that mad. I said, don't play with me.
Right.
Ninja does a draft show where he does a show on Thursdays. I don't even do my show on Thursday. I just let him do the draft show. And when they said that, I went crazy.
I bet you did.
It's unbearable to do that. So now you got to, if you make those moves, and I know you gave up a lot, now you got to be really good in your, scouting department to plug in those holes. You can't say, oh, we don't have a first round pick. You got to get those late round gems and then coach them up and be able to plug them in because you got a young team. And, a couple years they're going to be making that move to, Arlington Heights, and you want to have Justin Fields. You drafted Trubisky at number 2? You passed on Watson, Mahomes. And so you can't never get that back. You can't miss again with a quarterback that you moved up with for Justin Fields. You got to get it right this time.
Do you think that they went that way with Justin Fields because of the quote unquote blunder with Mitchell Trubisky?
I do think they went that way. I think they looked at their roster. They didn't have any quarterbacks. Like, what do they do with Trubisky? You can get what I call the retread guy that's been a starter somewhere else. But I think they moved up to get Justin Fields. They saw his potential, his 2 years at Ohio State, what he did, back-to-back, national semifinal, and then championship game, playing hurt against Clemson. I'm sure that did a lot with it, where he threw 6 touchdown passes. So I'm sure they looked at it, and the Bears have always been starving for a quarterback. That's why even guys like me hung on to Jay Cutler. I was like, Jay Cutler can sling it. As a former quarterback, he can sling the rock. But he would always have that 1 or 2 throws where you're like, where was he throwing it to? It wasn't even like he was trying to thread a needle. He would just make an errant throw, like you sitting there right now, Maestro, and he throw it right into your chest while we on this podcast. So, desperate for a quarterback. So I think it was a gamble because of what you gave up, not because of Justin Fields. But now it's about surrounding him. And what scares me is the GM was hired after they hired the coach. So how much power does he have? It's almost like Mike Mayock when he in Oakland and Las Vegas with John Gruden. We know John Gruden controlled the personnel. Mike Mayock was along because he was his boy. You got the title and you got the paycheck. Yeah. So that's what I worry about with the Bears going forward. 2 big moves with Mack and 4 or 5 years later with Justin Fields. But do you have the infrastructure in place to make the right moves to build that team the right way? Because the Packers have been killing us. Yeah. But they had, succession of quarterbacks. So
how long realistically do you think it would take to make this team a contender for the division? We know it's not happening this year, but like how assuming Aaron Rodgers got maybe 3 years. I mean, can you kind of wait this out? You think?
I think 2 years we need to be pushing for the playoffs. This year is a wash. Next year, maybe a little bit. Year 3, we got to be a playoff team. And then once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen because injuries, you can get hot, defense. So 3 years, we got to be in the play. This year, we got to show something. Next year, at least be on the cusp where we're coming down to the last quarter of the season where we have a quote unquote chance to make the playoffs.
Right.
So the real hope for your team, ABM, is to keep Justin Fields healthy. Playoffs or no playoffs, I think that should be, I mean, obviously that's every team's goal to keep their players healthy, but I think about what happened to Zach Wilson in the preseason game where people said they thought he tore his ACL and that the Jets season is over already and now they got to evaluate whether they got to get a quarterback or not and all that. I think in particularly for Justin Fields, in the eyes of the Bears brass, they got to come out of this with a healthy Justin Fields to at least know, okay, this guy can stay healthy. We can draft other positions and build this team around him.
Right, because the longer he's on the field, you're going to have a greater sample size to see what he is, see his strengths, see his weaknesses. We saw some flashes like last year against Maestro Steelers. Man, that was a great game. That was a great
Daryl
game.
Mooney, that's what I knew Daryl Mooney name right there. That's the game when I'm like, oh.
You know, we had the Kung Fu kick penalty that changed the game on the special teams, but that was what you saw glimpses of Justin Fields. But again, he can't be out 3 weeks here and there with an injury. You need to see him on the field, whatever it is, whether it's because Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions. So that's not a big deal when it's a young quarterback. You want to have him get the reps and the experience and get that fan base excited about what they see. You saw when he came in last year, it energized the crowd, it energized the defense. The difference now is we got a young defense. David Montgomery, and I have to say, a Raider for life, was big on him when he came in. I wasn't. He has outplayed my expectations to this point for the Bears. Been a very good running back. It's just going to be different because through my whole life, Bears have always had a running back, whether it was, Walter Payton, they had Rashawn Salam, Neil Anderson. They've always had solid
Thomas
guys.
Jones. Thomas Jones.
Yeah. They've always had Cedric Benson. They've always had solid running backs, and the Bears are known for defense. This year, the thing is to see young guys that can step up, young guys that can be part of the quote-unquote program going forward. Because, like I said, we only have 3 experienced defenders, left. And Eddie Jackson is a big contract that if he doesn't play up to it, he's probably going to be gone in the offseason next year.
What's your feelings about Malik Willis? I watched him play against the Ravens over the weekend, and it's a strong arm. He's got mobility, and I've been high on him during the draft. I actually thought that Pittsburgh was going to pick him up since they was whining and dining him, but I've always said about Malik Willis that he's one of those guys that you got to put in right away once you draft him. Now, I got a guy that we had on a few weeks ago, works in Nashville, and he's so adamant that Malik Willis just isn't ready yet. But I do think at some point we're going to see Malik Willis on this roster not on the roster, but he'll be playing quarterback for the Titans at some point this season. What do you think?
I was like you. I was high on him, having watched a lot of college football with him. And then I thought as he worked out, I saw some stuff on NFL Network with his pro day at the combine, and I thought he was going to be a first-round pick. And then as he started to sit and fall, I thought to myself about Geno Smith when the similar thing happened to him, where he was a surefire first-round pick, and then draft day came and he had a precipitous fall. But I think he's in a great situation. You got Derrick Henry, a monster at running back, team that runs the ball. Ryan Tannehill benefit the last couple years previously off of being great on play action because of the running game. And I think he's going to have the ability when Ryan Tannehill kind of hits his peak like we've seen and, play a back-to-back playoff games under 100 yards passing. Yeah. I think he's going to have his opportunity to come in and ignite that team and will probably be his job going forward. So I think we'll see him sooner than later. And you never know with injuries, but I just think Ryan Tannehill we've seen his peak, and his peak doesn't get the Titans where they probably can go with some of the talent they have now. They changed their offense a lot with the receivers, so I don't know what they're going to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, you
You
you,
know,
you lose your
offense
best
from the play
receiver.
action standpoint, yeah. Like who are you going to that has experience? And I know they're going to run the ball, but you got to be able to mix it up a little bit to
Yep.
somewhat conserve Derrick Henry because you don't want him being out for 6 or 7 weeks again because you're
Right.
giving him 40 carries a game in week 3.
Yeah, and he's coming off of an
Yeah.
injury too.
They seem to be high on Robert Woods, but I don't know if I believe Robert Woods is a number one type of guy.
Yeah, I like Robert Woods as a 2 or even in your 3-man receiver, but I don't. I'm with you, Maestro. I don't see him as a number 1. He hasn't been that his entire career, so that's actually a lie.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not. He doesn't have an elite quarterback tossing him the ball.
Yeah.
You know?
And the sad thing is that he's still probably going to lead the team in receiving yards, but that's still not going to be good enough if Robert Woods is your leading receiver.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Go ahead, Maestro.
Nah, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a question, man. Thought you had a question, bro. All right, so
That jumps right in.
So let's switch gears over to the NBA. I know this is your league, ABM. Let's just discuss Kevin Durant. Just your thoughts about the trade requests, what's going on with the Nets, where we're at this point. I heard something the other day where they're saying that he may be more likely to retire if the Nets don't do something with the trade, which I don't think he's going to retire. That man loves ball too much to just walk away from the game. What do you think? What's going on with KD?
Man, it's been crazy. I've seen it, but I've actually checked out on the discussion because almost every couple of days is something new. It's just like you don't know what he's not saying a whole lot. The trade request, he's not saying like he tweets, he goes back and forth with people on Twitter about stuff, but he hasn't said a whole lot other than the initial trade request. So these stories that are coming up, I don't know if it's the field stuff until we get college football games, NFL games, when NBA tips off, or if it's some truth. I will say that I did hear, I don't think he'll retire. I think if anything, he might do a Ben Simmons type deal, come up with something and find a way to chill until forcing a trade around the trade deadline. But I do think this, and I said this 2 years ago when he almost carried the Nets to the Eastern Conference Finals and Steve Nash didn't take a timeout late in that overtime just to get him a blow. You get a timeout with the TV part of it, the commercials, about 4 minutes real time. Then he might not have shot a turnaround 3 because he was exhausted. He may have taken those 2 dribbles right or left and shot a mid-range, and our whole narrative on Kevin Durant would have been different. That was Steve Nash. And I haven't seen a lot coaching from the standpoint of the non-Mike D'Antoni style and changes, maybe some adjustment to, you love to do the freewheeling and play small, but you didn't win with that. Are you smart enough to make some little adjustments to that? And even in the playoffs, Blake Griffin didn't play. And I'm not saying Blake Griffin would have played like he did every game, but you could have used him. A veteran like that can flip the switch at times just for the playoffs because it's a short window to look at and prepare towards. So I saw it come out about him saying he wants the GM, Sean Marks, I believe, and Steve Nash gone.
Yeah.
I believe I said 2 years ago, there may be something last year, there may be something to that. Because remember when they signed with Brooklyn, they said they don't need a coach. And then they said, they welcome Steve Nash. I said, wow, I've never heard anybody say that.
Yeah.
You know, Kobe fought Phil stuff, but then he came to love him even after Phil trashed him in the book. MJ didn't love Phil's offense. I remember the game MJ in the preseason. He intentionally didn't shoot the ball. He had 12 points. And the Bulls struggled offensively. His thing was like, hey, at some point, you throw the ball to the best player and, you got to score. And their point was like the triangle helps other guys get easier shots that just can't go get a bucket anytime they want or create a shot. So, even the greatest players, find a way to take coaching. LeBron in Miami, my Miami Heat, him and Spo with the famous bump when they were 7-9 or something. And he learned how to accept Spo and respect them. And they had success, the during his time there. So I think it's something to that. But every day it's a different story with Kevin Durant. So I'm waiting for him to say something more concrete. I'll tell you, as always, the Nets, the price is going down on what the Nets can get every day they wait.
Yeah,
No
that's
what
facts. That's facts. I pay attention to things like this. So they just released the Christmas schedule for the NBA. And the first thing I noticed was that the Nets were not on that Christmas schedule. Everybody knows that the league wants their best stars on that day every year. Kevin Durant is top 2, top 3 player in the game, and you don't even have the Nets on Christmas. Something tells me that at some point between now and when the season starts, he's going to be up out of there.
Yeah, because
you think he's going to be gone?
I think the Nets find a way to deal him.
Wow.
Yeah, you're right about the Christmas day. I saw No Shot. I saw your Knicks were on there, and I know it's the big market in the Knicks.
God.
And I saw my Heat weren't on it. And I was kind of hot because they've been to the East Conference Finals. Jimmy Butler, questionable. Should he took that 3 or just got a bucket? And then they played in the championship in the bubble 2 years ago and took and had guys injured and took the Lakers to 6 games and ran out of gas. Right. So they weren't on there. But the other guys, you got the Nuggets, who could be really good. I was kind of surprised and maybe know where to fit them, that the Clippers weren't on there because they're kind of the unknown. They're kind of they could be a problem for everybody, Golden State and everybody.
Healthy Kawhi come back,
But I did notice the no Brooklyn, because that said to me either Kyrie or KD's going to be gone or both.
Yeah.
Because you could have easily made it Brooklyn, the Nets, and the Knicks in the Garden.
Yep.
Instead of having them play Philly, you could have put Philly somewhere else, or maybe not have Philly on there. So that was,
or you could have had the Nets and the Celtics.
Right, because you got the rematch of them getting swept with Ben Simmons now, and fresh start to the couple 10, 15 games into the season at that point.
Yep.
So that's interesting that they weren't there. I guess the Golden State Memphis game is the closer for that night, for Christmas night.
Yeah. They got it right with that one.
Yeah.
They got it right.
I thought that was good. Lakers, Mavs, I know they moved it late because of LeBron, but that one they could have moved to. They could have let them play at 12. LeBron, I know it's 9 o'clock. They could have moved that one up because honestly, what do y'all think the Lakers are going to be?
Old.
Again.
Yeah.
Right.
They might be a playing team. I mean, that's the best I could give them right now.
I mean, and that's going to be on the back of LeBron for real. My issue with the Lakers, and it's the same issue I had with them last year. They don't got no shooters.
Yeah, my issues were shooting, and the fact they had a defensive coach. Frank Vogel's been a very defensive coach going back to Indiana.
Yep.
You have a defensive coach, and you didn't have a defensive roster. LeBron doesn't play. Again, I don't expect him to play at the level he used to when he was an all-league defender. Right. But he takes off on defense now because Anthony Davis is their defender. Russ stands in the corner, and when the ball goes away, Russ is going to turn and look at it. You can go behind Russ's back. He wouldn't know where you were. So the Lakers had an all-offensive roster, a defensive coach. I said, this is a recipe for disaster. And folks, my brother kept saying he's a Lakers fan because he's friends with Anthony Davis's dad and mom. And he would say, man, they don't score. See, these other teams, they got guys that step up. Like the unknown guy always has a big game against Lakers. And I'm like, that's because Lakers can't guard. Some guy that averages 8 points will get 25 on the Lakers. And finally, when I think that game, Houston put 144 on them in Houston, he finally said, you're right. We score enough points because even for all their shooting, they score enough points. They just couldn't guard anybody. And Anthony Davis working on his shooting with a shooting coach, that's not the issue, man. We need you. You got to be on the court.
Yeah, you got to be on the court. Yeah,
and he still hasn't established himself as the overall best player. LeBron can still be technically the best player, but game in, game out, doing everything, that should be Anthony Davis, and he just doesn't have that. I don't think he has that in him.
Neither do I.
So
we did 100%.
What if they make the swap? What if they get Kyrie and they trade Westbrook? What does that team look like with Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis?
based on if everybody in the West, Phoenix is psyche, I still make them like the six, makes them a strong, maybe a six seed where they don't have to play in the play-in, and that's with LeBron playing great, staying healthy, and my man Brian, Lakers have been good 1 year out of 4. 2 years they didn't make the playoffs. He's been hurt every year he's been with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Remember playoff mode activated, he had to shut it down, which was smart because they were looking at the next few years. But he was hurt then. The only year he hasn't been injured, because Father Time is undefeated, was the COVID year when they had 4 months off. That's huge. That's not to say put an asterisk by their title. They won it. They earned it.
Right.
But that's just to be analytical about looking at it. So I think if they get Kyrie, it gives them a puncher's chance. It makes them a better team because he's a better fit than Westbrook because he can shoot the ball better. He's played with LeBron before. I think LeBron would be inspired because it's less they have to deal with Russ. But I mean, they're like I asked Mo Cheese and some other Laker fans, microwave. I said, "Don't tell me right now if I told you that Steve Ballmer would give you the Clippers roster right now for the Lakers roster, would you take the Clippers roster?"
Right. In a heartbeat.
Yeah. Wouldn't even give him a chance to finish the question.
He did answer. He said, "Yeah, bro, I would make that move." But they could be better with Kyrie, but they haven't added a lot. Like I was joking that when I saw my man Rasheed Wallace signing the Lakers, I said, "Oh, they might be better." And then they said he was going to be assistant coach, and I said, "Oh, okay."
All right, so I'm gonna add while we on Lakers, I'm gonna ask you this question, and I think I already know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. LeBron James, I heard somewhere that all he has to do is play, play majority of the season, average 16 points. He is going to be the highest, the league all-time leading scorer. Does that move the needle in the Jordan versus LeBron conversation for you?
No, it doesn't for me because Karl Malone has more points per game or total than Michael Jordan. And Karl Malone's not even in the same stratosphere as LeBron, Jordan, and Kareem. And I don't want to leave Magic out. So, no, it doesn't move the needle. If LeBron got another title playing an 82-game season and winning 16 in the playoff, it would move the needle for me as a Jordan fan. But outside of that, there's nothing that he could do to pass it. Jordan, in my eyes, longevity, he's had a great career just like Kareem. And my argument with some of the Kareem folks is he was still great. I remember them killing him in Boston, saying he needed to retire mid-series, and Cap came out and dropped 36 to 38 with 15 rebounds because of, prideful man. But, if LeBron is the lead dog, which he's probably going to have to be for the Lakers, it would move the needle for me. I mean, I think sometimes in the debate, it kind of, you got to take a side, and I feel like I'm almost denigrating the other guy. And that's in any sport, you feel like you're denigrating the other guy. He's had a great career. He's done some stuff a little different. Like I used to be the guy, like these guys going to join up. That's not how we did at the park. If y'all would had the best team we came, I would want to beat y'all. I wouldn't want to be on y'all team. But it's a different era. It's different. So I'm kind of past that. Like when LeBron went to my team, and I was excited, but he had spent his time in Cleveland. KD going to Golden State, that really bothered me. And people would say that's the same as LeBron, but it was a little different. You had them dead to right, and y'all gave it away, and then you go to them. And honestly, if KD doesn't go to Golden State, LeBron might have moved that needle even more. He might have won a couple more titles in Cleveland because I don't know that Golden State had the horses to beat them if they stayed healthy. So, I mean, I don't know that he's going to win another one with him as a lead dog, at least not on what the Lakers look like right now. But, yeah, it would move the needle a little bit. Yeah. You got to look at longevity, but for sheer dominance, it does. Jordan is a different animal, for his time that he dominated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I respect that. Me and Maestro, we had the same conversation, and I'm of the opinion that LeBron is better than Jordan in a sense that LeBron is a better passer. LeBron can get to the rack, anytime he chooses to. I know he didn't do it enough even during his prime. But, LeBron does everything just from a skill set stance. If there's a knock on LeBron, especially early on in his career, it was that he wasn't like a killer, early on until he got to Miami, and then D Wade told him, "Yo, this is your town now. Go ahead and take over." And I think that was the point where we saw a different LeBron James.
Yeah, and I still don't think he's a killer. I saw the game I was referencing against the Houston Rockets. It was one game, but having watched LeBron since he came in, he drove to the basket. He could have laid it up on the left side. He could have reversed it on the right. There's no shot blocking on Houston. And he throws the ball to Carmelo, and Carmelo has to force up a shot against the clock. And Carmelo's talking to him like, "Why are you passing me?" So I still think LeBron doesn't have that mentality like Kobe or Mike. I think LeBron wouldn't go after Glory, his mama, on the court. He might score 25 on her, but he wouldn't try to get 50. Kobe and Mike is going for 60 on their mamas. They don't care. So I think, everybody doesn't have that. It's a different era. He grew up in a kind of pass first. Mike had to North Carolina. People say Dean held him back. And then he was unleashed his rookie year with Stan Albeck, because Stan Albeck coached Dr. J. So MJ had a lot of fortune. But one thing I'll say about LeBron, where he's come from, being young, no father, straight out of high school, you can't ask much more from him from what he's accomplished.
For sure.
From the driving standpoint, I think he can get to the basket, but I think his mental about going to the free throw line is probably why he doesn't even go to the basket more so. But he's improved his game. When he came to Miami, he had no post game. Now he's not as fluid as Mike or Kobe or some other guys, but he's improved, man. He's a great player, and like, even though I'll be harsh on him, harsh critic when it's warranted, I tell people to enjoy him while he's here, because there'll be other great players, but there won't be another LeBron. Like there wasn't another Kobe, there wasn't another Mike. They all have their own niche, and we should appreciate them while we're critiquing them. To kind of enjoy the greatness we're seeing in whatever sport. In this case, LeBron James, because he'll be gone whether he stays on to play with his sons or not. It's not going to be the same, because we've seen LeBron competing for titles for the last 12, 13 years, his teams have been in the mix. So when he plays with his sons, it's probably going to be in a capacity where a team wants to do like the Wizards did with Jordan. Come on out the ownership and sell this mug out and finish out your career. Get that itch scratched and get on out of here. So it's just the Lakers that they don't have a team around them. And they're going to try to compete. They're going to put names, but they're not good enough in the West, I don't think.
Okay, so just to say I agree with you that I don't say I agree. Right now, Jordan is still better than LeBron. I don't know how I'm gonna feel when he gets all the accolades behind the scoring title. I don't know how I feel about it, but I do know that when he does it, this conversation is gonna have to be opened again. That's I'll stand on that. But I do want you to solve. I'm freestyling, Trey.
Go ahead.
I do want you to solve or I guess me and Trey are we don't agree on this conversation. So I'm gonna ask you to kind of take somebody's side.
Okay.
So Bronny is going to dictate whether who LeBron goes to play for the end of his career. And for that very reason alone, when Bronny James declares for draft, he is going to be unequivocally the number one draft pick, no matter who is in the draft pick. And even if he is not top one, he'll be, he obviously you'll think he'll be kind of in the conversation, but he is unequivocally the number one draft pick, because whoever drafts him could kind of count on LeBron coming to play from, and now this team is a capital gold mine.
Right. I disagree with him being number one. I had a buddy that ran a lot of tournaments for Nike EBYL, and Bronny and them played down in Peach Jam down in Augusta in South Carolina. Solid player. I think he's better than what people see. People see the highlights But when you look at Peach Jam, he had a couple games, 28. Then he might have a game 6 or 9. And that's going to happen because other teams are better. People get up for you. But I think he will probably. I question whether he would get drafted a couple years ago. I'm used to be first round. I'm up to he'll be a lottery pick for sure. And you could not. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I disagree with it right now. But whoever takes him is gonna get LeBron services. It's gonna be you're gonna get a gold mine. If you're a team that takes him, and the NBA could put the fix in and put him in Cleveland. Who knows? I think LeBron, if he leaves the Lakers, he probably will go back to Cleveland because that's a team that is ready to compete, and he could be the difference with all those young horses, and he could just fit in and just be a piece, a big time piece. But I think whoever gets him, gets Bronny will get LeBron, and you will hit a gold mine. If you're a franchise that doesn't sell out other than when LeBron comes or some top teams, you will sell out every game, and you will have that. He'll probably have him for 2 years. Everybody's thinking he may only play 1 year with the Sun, but you may get him for 2 years if his body holds up. Maybe it'll be like MJ, where that last year he's playing on the bum knee, but he still sucks it up and plays 82 games because he doesn't have to worry about going into the playoffs. He just say, this is the last run. But Bronny has a lot of skill. I try to stay away from critiquing him because I'm like, I don't want it to come off like, if I'm critiquing him, I'm hating because people think, oh, you hating on LeBron. No, I love LeBron. I'm a Jordan guy, but I love LeBron. But I think Bronny's very good. Again, he's played at schools where they have a lot of top talent. So he hasn't been able to get the ball rolled out there to put up those monster numbers at his high school like he might somewhere else. But I think seems like a kid with his head on his shoulders, good athlete. He's probably going to get another 2 or 3 inches, and somebody's going to hit a gold mine. I don't know what franchise is going to be, but somebody that's, destitute right now is going to have a 2-year run where at least they're going to merchandise everything from a bottom line revenue. They're going to make some big money.
They're going to make money.
Yeah, that part of it I agree with. Just in regard to the marketing portion of it, some team like Charlotte or Sacramento, one of those small market teams, if they were to get Bronny, they get LeBron, they're going to get more attention, which they need. As a small market team, they need that. So I can understand that standpoint. The reason I disagree with that is because if I'm in the mindset of a general manager in a front office, I'm drafting Bronny James because I think Bronny James can help me make my team better. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be with Bronny for, 10, 15 years, however long his career holds up. LeBron James, for as great as he is, you're only going to get him for a year, at most 2 years. So my whole thing is that I don't think all 30 teams have that same mindset because, again, like I said, you got small market teams that could use the attention, the marketing, and things like that. And you got teams like the Lakers, the Celtics, the Knicks, who are in these big markets that, without big names, they're going to get the attention because of where they're located and because of the uniform.
Right. And I think the thing from the Bronny standpoint that you never know because, you got to look at if he's going number one, like what is he rated? Like if you say you got him as a 25th or 20 to 30th pick, and then you take him at number one, that's a big leap. But, if we look at the history, we've seen so many misses at the number one pick. What's the kid that the Cavs drafted?
Anthony Bennett. Man, that's the first thing I thought about.
You have my man from Chicago, LaRue Martin, that was taken by Portland like at number 2 way back when. So you have so many misses from a standpoint. Kwame Brown, for everything he was, still stay in the league over a decade. Still find a way. But there's guys that are in and out at all levels. So I think somebody might take that chance on him. But he's going to have to be a lottery pick. If he's a lottery pick and you got number one and you look at him, he's a lottery pick, then you probably have a better chance of him going number one because you could probably make that argument because it's not as big a gap if he's a late first round pick and you're going to take him number one for the business standpoint. Because at the end of the day, you still want to have your franchise growing as far as on the court. But you know, the other part is these teams miss all the time and miss
Right,
bad.
right. What if there's a guy in the lottery that you know is so much better than Bronny? Are you taking the guy that's so much better than Bronny, or are you going with Bronny because you want LeBron?
If it was the Orlando Magic, I'm gonna take Bronny and LeBron because they mess up all the good players they get in Orlando.
I can understand that.
I'm not a Duke fan, but I'm a Carolina fan. But I didn't really want the kid from Duke. I feel bad every time somebody goes to Orlando because eventually they lose those players and they mess it up.
Yeah,
they're drafted top every year, but that's gonna be the question, Trey. If he's a lottery pick, how much better is those maybe top 2 or 3 guys? If it's one of those years where you know, like Jaden Ivey, he was considered maybe a possible number 1 pick. If it's like one of those years you have 5 or 6 guys and Bronny's one of those, I think he's going to get the benefit of that cachet, the benefit of the doubt because of the extracurricular of getting his dad along with his, you know, top 5, top 6 talent to draft him. So that's going to be the question of where he gets to. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes, if he goes to high school for a year or if they eliminate this 1 year you got to go to college or the G League.
Yeah. He graduates next year, right? From high school? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got one last question for you, ABM. So, in the shadow of the late, great Bill Russell, the league has come out and decided that the number 6 is going to be retired by the league. That includes all teams retire the number 6.
Right.
What are your feelings about that? Because I've seen a lot of back and forth about, well, you know, we know Bill Russell has had an impact on the league for so many years, but then you go down the line, the great Kobe Bryant was one of the all-time greats, stayed with the same franchise, had a lot of impact, not just on the court, but off the court, influences a lot of guys coming into the league, things like that. So do you think that this is going to start a trend of retiring numbers league-wide?
Well, I thought it might happen with Kobe. Whether you retire, you probably couldn't retire 8 and 24. With Bill Russell, I think the caveat is because of the time he played in, the civil rights era, what he dealt with in Boston. What we know about this man winning championships, coming back they broke in his home and somebody took a shit in his bed. I mean, most of us don't walk around where we could just drop a deuce like that unless we sit on the toilet. So I think that goes to, you know, the regalness of Bill Russell, the legend, and looking at retiring a number. It's sort of like I kind of laughed at these conference MVP trophies they had at the Bob Cousy and somebody else. I kind of laughed at it. And as a Jordan guy, I say, man, when they gonna come up with a trophy for Jordan? They got all these different ones, but you know, it's kind of useless to give an MVP. I know they're trying to do stuff for attention and, you know, moving forward. But I'm okay with Bill Russell. I saw a lot of chatter, like you said, Trey, about the Kobe, and it could have been done with Kobe, but I thought the league moved very fast with. I think they came up with that great trophy for the All-Star game with Kobe. So I thought they gave something to Kobe, so I'm okay with that. If teams do something like, you know, Pat Riley got traumatized by MJ so much, MJ hangs in, you know, what used to be American Airlines Arena, something different down there in South Beach. So I'm okay with the Bill Russell because of what he did off the court. I don't think it'll be a trend where you see that many. I mean, Boston, I don't know how they have numbers for their players, as many as they have in the rafters, but I'm okay with the Bill Russell because of what he meant off the court. You know, the first black coach playing and coaching. It wasn't just like playing 2 minutes. He was still Bill Russell and coaching the Celtics, and what he had to deal with. So I'm okay with it. I think there's in his case to make the exception, to be, you know, not to see a trend, because otherwise you kind of invalidate, you know, retiring Bill Russell. If the great Kareem passes away, when we all pass away, you retire Kareem, Magic, MJ. If LeBron passes away early, you start retiring all those, you kind of invalidate Bill Russell. Stands alone and is a good jester, So I have no problem with that. And I was worried when he didn't come to the All-Star game. I know they said because of COVID and stuff like that, he didn't come to the All-Star game. And I just thought to myself, watching that great event of the great players, 51 years old, to see most of these guys play at some point. And I was like, man, it'd be great if he was there. And then, he passed away. But I think it's great that the NBA did that. And that means Bron will be changing his number again. Wasn't he 6 this past year?
He was.
Yes.
The rest of the guys on the list, I don't think anybody else an all-star level player that wore 6 besides Bron. Everybody was what?
No.
I hate to say it, the NBA, shout out to him, but
role player.
Just the guy was wearing 6.
Yeah. Some role players.
Yeah.
What you think about it, Maestro? I know you were the one that kind of brought up this topic.
I liked it. I felt like I kind of really echo ABM sentiment. Like it's exclusive. It's exclusive to him, and I think even in Kobe Bryant that All-Star trophy that's exclusive to Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
I like the idea of it being exclusive to the player that they're trying to honor. So I'm cool with it as well. Like that, I actually thought it was dope. I actually was okay. I hope they do the clovers and on the courts with the 6 in it everywhere. Like that's exclusive to him.
Yeah.
Anybody who looks at it know that that's who we talking about, and it's not no argument or debate of who it might be about. So I'm with it. I like the exclusivity of it.
Yeah.
And I thought the Kobe trophy was great because it's a great trophy, and because it symbolized when we start to see these All-Star games get really, layup fest, no effort. Kobe, he got his nose broke by Dwayne Wade in the All-Star game, and they played my Heat a week later in LA, and D-Wade knew he was about to get that work with Kobe with the mask on. Kobe wasn't even mad. Kobe loved it because Dwayne Wade was competing hard, and that's what Kobe brought to the All-Star game. So I thought it was a great tribute to be able to give Kobe that trophy based on how he approached All-Star games, his competitiveness in those. You look at that trophy, and I don't know if you saw the trophy they gave the WNBA, the girl, the point guard.
Little rinky-dinky joint.
From the Las Vegas Aces. Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
Yeah, man.
I think I got a bowling trophy. I got a bowling trophy from when I was like 6 years old. That's about as big as that thing was. Participation trophy.
Look like one of them 20. Look like one of them 25-cent prizes that you see like in the supermarkets. Like you turn a little joint and it come down the chute.
I got a quick question for you.
What's up?
If they put out merchandise, and I hope they do it in a way that if Bill Russell had charities, proceeds go to that charity, at least most of it, if not all. But would you get a number 6 with the clovers on it if it was in your Knicks colors? Would you purchase some merchandise?
I was just gonna say, because I tweeted this out. I tweeted this out maybe last week or the week before. I respectfully, I don't want the clover on the Knicks floor. I don't want the clover. You know what I would like to see? You know what I would like to see though, and just for reference, Maestro, I know you're a His and Hers podcast fan. Do you remember their branding of their podcast? They had like the
I smoke weed, bro. That was a long time ago.
Come on, bro. Come on, really? You're messing me up here. But I would like to see. I would like to see like a silhouette of Bill Russell's face in some, capacity, along with the number 6 on the court. I would like to see maybe something like that. But the clover, that's gonna mess with my head a little bit.
My Wizards suck. You can put the clover on. You can commemorate Russell in Wizards colors. My Wizards suck.
What are the Wiz doing, man? What are they doing?
ABM. I have no clue, bro. I have no clue. Look, I see in Twitter conversations that people like Bill Kuzma and
Porzingis as a big 3, right? As a big 3.
I saw that and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to engage with this person today because I'm sorry, that doesn't move the needle for me at all. That doesn't get anything, get me excited about anything. We're going to be bad. We're gonna be bad. I think if we can at least play in the play-in, I'd be pleasantly surprised. Um, I'd be pleasantly surprised. Trey, look, Trey will tell you, man. When I don't and when I don't have expectations for my team, I don't, and I'll go all through the year. We
He
trash,
shuts
we
out.
trash,
He
we
shuts down.
trash, and I do,
He shuts down.
And the last year we made it to the playoffs when Westbrook was there,
Right. They were playing. Yep.
and he was trying to get me excited about it, and I'm like, it's really hard for me to be excited about this because we don't have a shot.
Right.
But then unobjectivity cut in.
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell the whole story.
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell the whole story.
Go ahead.
Because now my team is in the playoffs, so I did jump out there and say we might be able to.
Which I said was gonna happen.
Right, and I flipped. That's what fans do. We flip until we flipped into the right spot. So
I do the same thing. I'm a Heat fan, and I say it all the time. I love our team. We play hard. I call my team a data boy team. We got if you were coaching a youth team or a high school team, college team, they're gonna do everything you coach them to do. And Jimmy Butler has been better than he was in Chicago or even Minnesota, because people in Chicago thought
a lot better.
Jimmy Butler. They thought, and he controls the game, but he's a notch below Giannis and LeBrons and those kind of guys.
Yep.
And Bam, I love everything Bam does, but Bam is not a scorer all-star type guy. And as good as Tyler Hero can score, he does nothing else. So, we have a lot, but we still, we get the most out of it, but I still think we're missing a player. Now, if we could get Kevin Durant, that would be great, but we probably going to have to give up too much. But
I was going to say, Bam got to get up out of there if you get KD.
Yeah, but he has that contract where you can't include him in the trade yet.
Oh, is it because he's on a rookie deal?
Yeah, the escalator.
Got it. Yeah, because I remember they were saying something about.
I'm realistic. Like at the end of the day, if Tatum and Brown are playing or Giannis playing at their level, they're just a little bit. They got more people. Like everybody in Milwaukee, they were good last year. They just didn't have Chris Middleton. That was the difference in them.
Yeah.
In their playoffs.
Yeah, because they was up 3-2 on Boston.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
I'm sorry.
I agree 100%.
I'm sorry, ABM. I know I said I had a last question for you, but this will be my final question. Chi-Town guy, your top 5 Chicago athletes all time.
Like played in Chicago? Or Chicago?
However you want to do it, whether they played for the teams, whether they were born and raised and they played elsewhere.
I could do it in Chicago. MJ, Walter Payton, Scottie Pippen, even though Scottie be tripping Pippen. I'm going to say Frank Thomas, even though he frustrated me. I'm a White Sox fan. I'm going to say Frank Thomas.
Okay.
And last, I'm not going to go hockey, even though I respect all the greats on the Blackhawks. I'm going to go, even though he had a small sample size, for his high school career, college, and his short time before Tibbs happened in that game against the 76ers. And I was in Chicago that weekend watching it. And he blew his knee out, Derrick Rose.
And I was about to say, you got to have Rose. And he from there.
Yeah, he's a hometown kid. He went to the great Simeon High School, and that man was in the game, and he did a jump stop. And everybody had turned away because the game was over. They were up 10 or 11 with like 3 minutes. And I said, oh, man. They said, what? I said, man, I think he blew his knee. They said, no, quit playing, Doc. And I said, look at it. And they saw it. And he's done great, still being in the NBA now, being a productive player. But man, it's a shame because of I think about what him, Penny, and Grant Hill, just 3 that come to my mind, what they might have been without the injury.
Yep.
Yes. Penny Hardaway.
That was Shaq and Kobe before Shaq and Kobe, man. In them Orlando Magic days, man, in the mid-90s.
He was a willing passer. That was a killer, too.
Yes. Yeah, willing. Yeah. Penny Hardaway.
Special.
Man. Yeah. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. That was
disappointing.
That one hurts.
No, Penny Hardaway hurts though. Like more than Grant Hill, more than Derrick Rose. For me, Penny
Yeah, Penny
Hardaway
for
hurts.
me too.
Yeah.
Penny for me, man. The Penny dial, what he was doing to the Bulls, he was a problem. Threes, his
Yeah.
size, his passing, his athleticism. I still got the cover where he's kind of doing the lean. He's on the air, taking off in the blue jersey, man. But that's why I said Orlando's had so much great talent that has gone on and prospered elsewhere that they couldn't keep in the little small market in Orlando for whatever reason. But yeah, those three guys, Penny, D Rose, and then Grant Hill.
Yeah, they all hurt. For me, I know you got a pecking order, Maestro. They kind of all hurt, and you and I disagree on this, but I just imagine a healthy Derrick Rose and that Bulls team going up against the Heat a few more times, right after LeBron got there. Like, imagine what those battles could have been.
Would have been great for the NBA. I think the Heat size and the Bulls maybe inability to have other guys that consistently score was always the difference, because you got Wade, who was taller than Rose, then you got LeBron at 6'8" can guard him, and then you got Bosh who could move his feet on the screen. So that size always affected Rose late, and the Bulls just needed another scorer. Luol Deng was good. Noah, those guys, when Taj Gibson was young and athletic.
Yeah.
But it would have been some great battles, Trey. It wouldn't have just been, Miami kind of written, outside of battling Indiana, but I always felt like Indiana just didn't have enough and left it. If the Heat played their A game, but that Bulls team with a healthy Derrick Rose, because he would have continued to get better. We just saw a glimpse.
And who knows who else he could have attracted to come to Chicago.
But
if he'd have stayed healthy.
He never did. He never wanted to recruit. He never went out and said, hey, we got to get Trey Frazier from the Knicks. Go talk to him. Derrick just wasn't that guy. He's a quiet kid. He didn't want to do that. But somebody would have came to Chicago. And, man, they could have been so much different with him, there. People in Chicago still, that Adidas campaign where he was working out and the weights was pounding. Man, them people got so hyped on that commercial, but he couldn't get back to that level consistently. But great player.
I like your top 5 list. I'm gonna throw an honorable mention in there as one of the faces of one of those all-time great Bears defenses, and that's Mike Singletary.
Yeah, I thought about Singletary. And then I thought about Richard Dent, because I remember I went to a leadership conference in high school. He was our guest speaker, and I sat right next to him. I thought about those two. I even thought about the great Andre Dawson. And the only reason I didn't, because as great as he was in Chicago, he was probably greater in Montreal. So that I didn't take that away from him, but they would have been honorable mentions. And of course, the Kansas Comet, Gale Sayers was right there too.
No doubt.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
No doubt.
That's what I was going to say.
No doubt, man.
Back when you had a knee injury and they went in and messed your knee up more. When you had a knee injury back in those days, you was done. It'd have been amazing with today's technology. He would have came back and probably still been an all-pro player, and they would have taken him off of kickoff and punt returns, though.
Yeah, exactly. What a perspective. Technology.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a perspective. Yeah, that's a hell of a perspective.
Yeah, man. This was dope, man. This was fun having you on, ABM. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you at on social media. Talk about the platform, the podcast, and all that.
Social media, Twitter, IG, I am the Doc Bell. Spreaker.com, you can catch me on Mondays, generally 4:30 Eastern time, posted in the paint. And then on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be covering a lot of football. I'm a basketball guy, but I'm trying to stay away from any basketball commentary. I may talk a little WNBA because I like the Las Vegas Aces, but be a lot of football, a lot of college football. I am a season ticket holder this year for Georgia State, where the great Sluggo the Hammer graduated from, so I'll be attending their games. So just looking forward to it, man. Been doing this 5 years, man. It's always fun to talk sports, social issues, and I find that getting this stuff off of your chest, in between regular life is always great.
Yeah,
so I appreciate you, brothers, and got an open invitation. I hope to have you both back as we get into the season about your football teams that are in the same division.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We just got finished arguing about it in a prior show.
I will say that. I will say that the Steelers. I saw. I don't know if either of you guys follow Chuck Modi on Twitter.
Yes, I
If
do.
you don't follow Chuck Modi, Chuck Modi was posting about the Steelers, and he said, "Man, y'all might be the best team drafting receivers in the NFL," and I'd have to agree with him. Look, if I just said shit.
That's NFL young boy right there.
That ain't no secret though.
Trey gonna find out.
But that ain't no secret
Trey
though.
gonna find out.
Nah, I already know. It's no secret. They,
I'm talking about when George Pickens getting in that ass this year.
Look. I already got in my mind like the pick phrase is gonna like destroy me, bruh. Like pick the pick. Like I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, cause it's coming.
Y'all still got Charles Johnson,
coming.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How's Trubisky looking?
Mid. Like I knew he would. Like I knew he would.
You think the boy from Pitt will take over before the year's over?
I just got finished saying it.
You would like him to.
Any other way. I don't see it. And I wasn't big on him, but we drafted him. So don't play with him. Mitchell Trubisky is not a franchise-changing quarterback. You would know best.
Our backups in Chicago, and I forgot that I meant to say it yesterday, but I was going through our depth chart, and I looked at it, and I said, I'll come back to that. I'll finish up with that. And then I went to the field and didn't think about it till the show was over. We have Trevor Siemian as our backup, and then we have
see that.
Nathan Peterman is our third quarterback.
Oh, man.
So it's going to get ugly if Mr. Fields misses any snaps.
Man, it's canceled Christmas already, man. Hey, man, ABM, thanks so much, man. We appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Keep doing your thing, man.
Yeah, you do the same.
You as well, bro.
All right.
Be safe out here. Yeah, sir.
All right. Peace, fam. One love. Yep, that's the homie right there, ABM, Doc Bell right there. I had one more thing to talk about, Maestro, before we get up off here. I just want to give a special shout out to Sylvia Fowles, former center now for the WNBA. She called it a career, a 15-year career. Just the other day, she was a part of those Lynx teams that won championships. I think she was finals MVP a couple of times, which I didn't even know. I thought Maya Moore, kind of won all them finals MVPs, but it looked like she took two of those. So, she's to me like, if you had to put a top 25, all-time list, she definitely
she's there.
Belongs on that top 25 list right there. So, congrats to her. Congrats to Sue Bird, too. I don't think we talked about this either, but Sue Bird.
Yeah, but she's on a farewell tour, yeah.
Yeah, she is. She's on a farewell tour. But the playoffs start, I think, tomorrow. I don't even know who's in the playoffs, to be honest with you. But
Mystics there.
Are they there? Okay.
I believe so.
Okay. You got a healthy Elena Deladon?
We look like we all right.
All right.
Shout out curly head Kira.
All right. That's what's up. But yeah, congrats to those players. Long careers. Both top 25 players. All time in the league. And then you got a couple players. Stepping away from the game. For personal reasons. One, Skylar Diggins-Smith decided to walk away. I know they were in playoff contention. I don't know if they made the playoffs, but she's kind of had this emotional up and down season this year, obviously with Brittany Griner being away, for as long as she was. That kind of had an effect on the team, and I'm sure it had an effect on her from a mental standpoint. So, I'm one to always say, look, if the mentals ain't right, you got to step away. You got to do what you got to do. So
don't play.
Yeah, exactly. And the same for Liz Cambodge, who played for the Sparks.
Sparks, yeah.
That's the player that said the stuff about the Nigerians in Africa and stuff. She announced that she's stepping away from the game also. As a matter of fact, her and the team agreed to part ways. I forgot all about that, aspect of it. But then they announced that she's stepping away for, whatever. So again, get your mentals right. As once the great Marshawn Lynch once said, take care of your chickens, take care of your mentals. So
and I'm sorry, you said Brittany Griner and I got immediately irritated.
I ain't mean to irritate you, brother.
I saw a story, or a headline rather, that said they may let her coach while she's in jail. Listen here, Slim.
Free Brittany Griner.
Right.
Free Brittany Griner.
And look, it's not because she may or may not coach. Because if that helps, her, while she did in that situation, good for her. I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me about it. It's like a kick in the back of the head.
I don't want her. I don't want her there.
Yeah, right. She shouldn't be coaching in Russia from a jail cell in Russia. She should be home.
Yeah, I don't want her there. I want her on U.S. soil.
Yeah.
Playing
for her team.
Yeah, if it mean she gets transferred to a jail here and they allow her to coach in some capacity on U.S. prison soil, okay, cool. But nah, free Brittany Griner. I don't want her overseas. I
just needed to throw that out there. That's filthy behavior. I don't need that to be reported, and I don't like it.
Yep. We praying for Miss Brittany Griner. We praying for her family and all that good stuff.
For sure.
So, I want to give a special shout out. I didn't even shout out the chat here. We got RC, who's a fan favorite of the podcast, in the Facebook Live chat. We also got the Governor Vince Wright up here. Big Kev 303 is in here too. So
what's happening?
Appreciate the support. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Got the Facebook Live chat popping. So appreciate it, fellas. Appreciate it. Special shout out to everybody too. To all the fans, to all the people that tune in daily. Whether it's Twitter Live, Facebook Live, or YouTube Live, we appreciate it. Just continue to support us on those platforms. Tell a friend to click that like button on the Facebook page. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on the Twitter handle at Barbershop SPOR2. You can also find us on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. And if you got any questions or comments about the show, you can hit us up on email at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. So, my man, we did another one, man, in the books, bruh.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, man. Always one love on this side. Always one love to the fans and the listeners and the viewers. We're going to be back next week with another big one next week too. So, y'all stay tuned for that. All right, fam. Y'all have a good week out there. Maestro Styles, Trey Frazier signing off. We'll be back next week with another dope episode. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Love.
Recording stopped.